Matthew McConaughey. Welcome to the show.
Good to be here, Dan.
Awesome to talk to you. I'm really glad you made time for this. Congratulations on the new book. It's called Poems and Prayers. So I thought, and this is not particularly original on my part, but I thought we'd start with poems and prayers. What is the role of poetry in your life? Is that like a sanity-inducing mechanism for you?
Sanity-inducing. That's a good way to put it. Sometimes it is, sure. When the logic and the math and the evidence and the facts aren't adding up to an outcome that I can appreciate or want to strive to, poetry is, like prayers, they're dreams and aspirations and pursuits to belief in beauty and divinity in the world and in ourselves. And sometimes I go to poetry when I'm like, enough with the academia, enough with the damn logic. I'm looking around at reality. And I'm not finding the things that I want to believe in or that are building me up to have belief in others and myself. So I'll go to poetry, like music, like prayers and those aspirations of the ideals in life to make sense of the world or to remind myself that there's higher ground to strive for.
In the introduction of your book, you talk about many of the things you just mentioned there, that at times it's like hard to know what's true as we look around at the world. And so for you, poetry or art, rhythm, mysticism can be a refuge in a world where objective truth is often obscured or weaponized.
And it can be a beautiful and musical way to access, again, those ideals when, look, logic and the truth, and I love logic. That's where I've always gone. I go to nonfiction to create the fiction. I believe art emulates life. That's what Just Keep Living, my motto has been forever, that I look around and see reality, and I'm like, that's as good as it can get. Can we let that, let's let that inspire me and us to create art. And I still believe that, but I was finding that harder to do here in the last few years for whatever reason, and logic, the numbers, the math, the facts, they're also tacit. They're very, almost can become acidic. They're academic. It can be, it's very conscientious work to try and sift through it all and work out the digits that you want to believe in or what the hell the facts are. So a relaxing but beautiful place to go to sometimes make sense for what's between the lines or what the overall story or theme could be is poetry and prayers for me.
Let's talk about prayer. I was struck by, you get pretty detailed in the book about exactly how you pray. Mm-hmm. And I'll be honest, I was raised by atheist scientists in the People's Republic of Massachusetts. So I don't have like a rich prayer life. I'm a pretty dedicated meditator, and I think there's overlap there, but I don't pray per se. And I don't know if you'd be willing to recapitulate it here, but I was really intrigued by your sort of walking the reader through your prayer process, which, if I understand correctly, kind of starts with some gratitude.
Yeah, starts with the baseline gratitude. I get asked all the time, or I just have conversations with people all the time, my agnostic and atheist friends as well, like, well, I got things to pray for, but how do you do it? What's the rules? Or kids ask me that. So, well, there really are no rules, find a space to get quiet with yourself, have a listen, and if your mind doesn't go somewhere, pick out somebody or something you're thankful for. Think of what that is in them and why you're thankful for it. Why it turns you on, why it just maybe doesn't do anything for you, but you just love what it does for them. Well, pray for more of that in them and maybe in you as well. So the way I just started that of what prayer is very much an overlap of, I suppose, what you do with meditation. Find that quiet space. Listen for a minute, try not to be hung up on the ideas and the aspirations or the plans that we have for our future, and just be still for a moment. Listen to yourself. So prayer could start off, I start it with gratitude. What I do is I try to go through the Rolodex of all the people in my life that I love and care for. And I try to Rolodex through my memories lane of an image of them when they're most truly themselves. Not Instagram happy, cheese, perfect light, and not doubtful and mournful, but just when they were themselves and you saw grace on them and you see their light shining bright because they are just who they are, and in that contentment of that moment. And I lock in on that picture of them in my mind, and I pray for more of that in them and pray to see them and for them to feel that more. And I roll through that however long that takes. And then I get to what I talk about is the hardest part. Now I get to me. And I got to roll through the Rolodex of trying to see myself in that space. And that can take a mighty long time sometimes to find that vision of myself and that picture of myself. But I stick with it until I do. And then I sit with that for a minute. And I think about what made me feel that way, why I was in that space where I wasn't ahead or behind, but I wasn't advertising and I wasn't performing and I wasn't making it, I wasn't exaggerating the goodness and I wasn't dwelling in the pain. And I was right there, level, and the world seemed flat and my eyes were high and I could tell by the look of myself that I was honest across the board with who I was. And I'll concentrate on that and I'll pray for more of that myself. And then after I'm done with that, that's when I say amen.
To me, coming at this from a Buddhist lens, this sounds similar, if not identical, to loving kindness meditation. Are you familiar with that practice?
I'm not, but I've heard about that, and I have friends that do, and I think it sounds quite similar.
Yeah,
I'm curious, what's the real difference in that,
So the basics of loving kindness meditation are this is going to sound very similar. You sit, bring to mind, usually you start with an easy person, could be a cat, dog, could be a kid, and then you repeat 4 phrases, may you be happy, safe, healthy, live with ease. Then you move to yourself, then a neutral person. Before the neutral person, there's a mentor. After the neutral person, there's a difficult person, and then everybody everywhere. I would say the primary difference, and actually this is a point of curiosity, it's basically a question for you. The potential difference is in the Buddhist schema, there's no creator God. You're not petitioning anybody for help.
I do believe, I don't know this, but I do believe that when I am praying to God, when I am seeking to imitate and proclavate the divinity of God and be more God-like, and I'm talking to, and I think we all are, talking to our sacred selves, and I don't, somebody may hear that and go, that's a blasphemous thing to say. I hope it's not. I believe we all have it in us. And whether I call that God or you don't have a destination of who you're talking to or what entity you're talking to or reaching out to, it's another way to get to a very similar place. And so as I've said, early on in this book, and I wanted to make clear, I'm a believer. So for me, I wrote this book as part of a spiritual therapy for my own relationship and doubts that I have and have had with my own belief in God. But it's also for anyone who wants to believe more in themselves, wants to believe more in others, wants to believe more in tomorrow or yesterday. And I would say when people go, well, where do you go for belief? It seems to me the best place to start is to ask yourself, who or what would you die for? And everyone can answer that question, start there. And why that's a great place to start with who you die for, and figuring out who that is and admitting that is a great place to look. That's where your belief is. And that's also a great signal to what to start living for. In a time when it's very confusing to many of us, it's like, well, what is the purpose? What am I supposed to start living for? I'm confused. I'm not sure. My attention span's all over the place. What do I give a damn about? What do I really value? What do I care for? And those are baseline things that matter to us that should stand the test of any kind of weather that we're in and change around us, politically, AI, whatever, all the tension and confusion and stimulus. Those are things that can keep us a baseline of a truth for us through all the noise.
When you ask yourself that question, what would you die for? What's your answer?
Well, I'll tell you this, and I'm curious if this answer, I have a hunch that this answer means that I have a lot more work to do with my faith than I do. And that I have a hunch that this answer means I have more doubt than I need to have. And that answer is, the list used to be longer. Dan, the list used to be longer. But then I look back, and when was that list longer? When was that list up to 40 years old that I could have honestly said, I will die? I would easily sacrifice my life for any human being. Around 40, that started to change. Now, That's about when I started to have children. I've got a wife. I'm in love. We built a family. Oh, that number starts shrinking because now I've got dependents. And I'm like, I'm an artist with them, trying to raise them as a father, the most reverential position that I know in life. And I don't know if I necessarily want to give up my life for a stranger across the world that I don't know. I think I'm building something here, and I believe in it. And I don't want to. If I'm not here for that, will that be built in? Will those children have the best chance of becoming the best of themselves if I'm not here? So I have those quite selfish references now in my life. The list, I would say, is longer than my immediate family, but it's not near as long as it used to be.
I've heard you a couple times talk about your wrestling with doubt so far in this, in the early stages of this conversation. Is that like, are you beating yourself up for having doubt in the existence of God? What am I hearing?
I'll throw a few jabs. I used to throw right hooks at myself. I'll throw 3 jabs at myself now. I'll get myself in a bit of a headlock because I fall out of the rituals that I believe that help me feel so full of belief and faith. Now, I've shaking hands, and I believe this is more than amnesty for myself, but I've shaken hands with that doubt's part of the process, and that God at least is happy I'm trying. I've had my agnostic years where I said, self-reliance, it's on me, hands on the wheel, fate my ass. This is it. I'm responsible. We're each responsible for what we do for ourselves. Those are very valuable years. And when I came out of those back to faith and belief and strong belief in God, I heard God applauding, going, thank you for the courage to believe that you could do it all yourself. I need more like you. Put your hands on the wheel because I got too many out there just relying on fate. Inshallah, hey, whatever. Good Lord willing. No, I need you. Self-reliance and faith go together. They're not contradictory. So thank you for having the courage to feel like you could do it yourself, and welcome back. Those were wonderful exercises in that. But I did come back, and it's always there. Sometimes it's a bit hazy for me and sometimes I have to even sell myself on the habit, the rituals to stay in tune with my own spirit and belief in God. I can get away from it. When it's ideal for me, and this doesn't happen that often, but every day is a walking prayer with eyes open. Every interaction is a gift and a prayer. That doesn't always happen. So follow the rituals of how to start my day with a prayer before a meal, or to end my day, or to what I do on Sunday. Those rituals help me with humility. They help me with confidence most of the time, sometimes. But I had a real struggle with the relationship with humility for decades, until I heard the definition that it's admitting we have more to know, admitting we have more to learn. And once I heard that definition, I was like, oh, I'm in. And I was able to seek humility and find it, yet still be confident. But I go through doubt. I'm not saying all the time, but I have seasons of doubt and one of them was here about a couple of years ago, and was part of the reason I wrote this book. And part of the reason I started looking back to my own poems and prayers and writing more of them, and then put them on the page for me, and then saying, hey, maybe these are worth sharing, because I'm hearing a lot of other people have the same feelings.
On this note of humility, there's a really nice, I think this is a poem, or either a poem or just a brief reflection in the book that Eleanor, who's producing this episode, Eleanor and I really honed in on, and I'll quote it to you, and then maybe you can talk about it on the backside. Every time we stand to be corrected, we also stand to be correct.
That part and parcel goes along with that other little maxim I had in there, is like, anytime you're asking for something, forget the rhyme, but the answer is no until it's yes. You know, it's also has to do with how we look at consequences. You tell anyone, well, you make that choice, just tell them there's going to be consequences. 95% of our head goes, uh-oh. And we forget that, no, it's 50-50. The 50 that will have could be great consequences. We don't give credit to the great consequences. We just think, oh, that means trouble. And so I want to I like flipping some things on their heads sometimes about going, look, man, don't, I have another one in there. I'm not sure how to do it right, but I'm not sure how to do it wrong, but I'm pretty damn sure I didn't do it right. Every time you stand every time you're incorrect, you stand the chance of being correct. So take the chance. We have a culture that sort of really hammers you if you fail or if you're wrong. Maybe it's through social media. Maybe we love to hammer the person who missed the shot more than we like to cheer for the one who made the shot. And so just throwing that in there to say, look, let's admit it's 50-50. Even if you don't know how to do it and you try to do it wrong, you might pull it off and do it right. You might actually be correct. So don't stop taking chances.
I completely agree with everything you're saying. Would you say this is kind of the spirit of your prior book or one of your prior books, Green Lights?
It's definitely kin. This is the pools of prayers and meditations and songs that inspired a lot of my actions and a lot of the stories that I told in Green Light. So this is more of the spiritual side, the secrets that we all have that we'd like to try and make turn into habits and behaviors in our life. And these are ones that have worked for me. As you know, there's chapters in here called Wobbly, Lost, and Looking, times of great doubt and confusion. Some brought on by myself, some just by the ways of the world, me looking up and going, what the hell, man, I need a compass. And digging out of some of those and finding my way again. And a lot of things in here help me and others, that I've even heard, has given us a rudder again, to get out of trouble, to get out of doubt, to get out of the haze, and back into the dream, to get out of indifference and doubt and get back into belief, which is more than hope, but to get back into, doubling down, tending the garden of, putting more wood on the fire of the things that we value in our life and care for and believing in those.
The reason why I brought up Green Lights is my understanding is one of the central arguments in that book is you should try because you might hit a green light where most of us are braced for the red light. We don't want to fail because we live in the panopticon of social media where everybody is shamed all the time or we're always in performative mode. But why not take the risk and be slightly optimistic?
I agree. Why not? The failures don't, we think they're perceived to carry so much more weight than they actually do. And I'm not saying go out there and be foolish. I believe in the merit of understanding a craft, hustling, getting educated at, and trying to be good at something before you just go, hey, I can do it because I feel like it. No, I'm not talking about that half-assed BS. But most every time I've failed, when I fessed up to the failure and dusted myself off, the people I gave a damn about, the people I looked up to, the people I was pursuing to be more like, looked at me and were like, yeah, me too. There you go. They were very affirmative to go, yeah, thank you for being on the playing field. Thank you for taking the shot. And thank you for getting up and saying, yeah, my bad. I missed. Ready to go again. Thanks for staying in the game. And most people, I think, do that, at least the ones that we care about or should care about. In some ways, I wish we brought more embarrassment back. I sometimes I wish people would be more embarrassed. What happened to embarrassment, man? Or a little bit of guilt. I mean, come on. You really, that's you're okay? You sleep well with that being how you handled that situation or how you handled your day? I'd be ashamed. And I'm glad I am because I've got a measure of what I'm holding expectation myself. But at the same time, there's stuff we shouldn't be embarrassed about, a failure. There's stuff that I see young people going, no, I don't want to try that for fear of the failure. I'm like, what's the big deal? What would happen if you did fail? I don't want to find out. For something that is just going to be some of that social pressure that someone else is going to make a much bigger deal out of it than it actually is.
I see this in my own son. I have a 10-year-old. I know you have kids. This isn't always true of him, but sometimes he doesn't want to try because he doesn't want to fail. The way I see this playing out in the culture, in my own experience, is if you try something publicly and fail, in your case, maybe it's a movie or a TV show. In my case, maybe it's a book that doesn't work or whatever. You might take some shit in the moment, but there's that second opportunity later, and it doesn't even have to be that much later, to do what you were describing a few moments ago, which is to get up and say, you know what? I tried something, it didn't work, I screwed up. But people usually applaud that.
And you see it. It's prevalent in the Silicon Valley. Yeah, those guys get up and just take swings all the time. And $300 million valuation, whoop, didn't work. Okay, next, boom. I mean, they do it all the time. I'm sit back and I'm gotten in business and started to learn a little bit about that. I was amazed looking into that industry, going, man, you guys You guys are a lot. Baseball's a lot better percentages than you guys. You know what I mean? But they're like, no, that's just how it goes. We took a swing. I'd say one of my greatest brands, or I believe it, and I've been told this by people that I admire, one of my greatest attributes and brands is risk. It's also the thing that I believe I need to take more of, that I don't take enough of. Now, as part of that, go back to the same reason of my list is shorter for how many people I'd die for, because I got a family and I've built this, and it's non-negotiable, and I'm going to continue to build this for my life. So I don't want to be foolish with risking that. Do I have a career that I've built over 36 years that I don't want to just be haphazard and be silly with? Yeah. But at the same time, measuring what the right risks are, and not settling into a successful sort of complacency of just saying, well, put up the walls, let's maintain. Put up the walls, let's maintain. I don't want to sit there either. Although I do love to prepare, and I do love to measure, and preparation has been one of my greatest assets. I also, on the flip side of that, don't want to prepare myself until death, for a lot of things.
Where do you find, if there's been a decline in risk tolerance post babies?
Yeah.
Where do you find that showing up in, like, oh, well, I'm not going to, maybe I don't do Dallas Buyers Club this time. Maybe I go for something safer. Is it artistic choices? Is it something else?
It's not really artistic choices, I don't think, unless it's dealing with amount of time I'm going to need to go be solo. For instance, writing, that's a solo experience for me. I'm not any good at going, oh, after this, Dan, I've got 3 hours in the afternoon before my next appointment, I'll go write. I don't know how to do that. I have to have no curfew on the backside of my, at least 8 to 10 days on the backside of knowing there is no clock. And I don't have to have a return ticket back at all to step out if I'm creatively turned on. So time is but I'm also very fortunate when I go to work for over more than 3 weeks, the kids and the family come with me. So I'm not missing out on them. The risk of roles, no, it would be no problem. Like a Dallas Buyers Club to go, hey, we're going to do this. So it's going to be 5 months. I'm going to be on a militant diet. That's not a problem. It's a good question. What is the answer of that? Where I take risk of who to bring into my life, who to share our life with, what areas to expose the kids to, since they're usually with me and Camilla. I think it's those, because when you have more to protect, I try to watch that. I don't want to lose trust, but I also, with success, you got a lot of people coming for you. Mm-hmm. And some of them are very good at hiding their transactional motives. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to be as wise to that as possible, but at the same time, to measure those things stunts a creative process, because a creative process works on, yes, embrace, carry on. Yes, come on, have another. And so balancing that out, and my wife has probably a more skeptical, watchful eye than I do, but it's how much to share, and then in 24 hours, not to. It seems that some of the taking the risk is about obviously bringing on new things, but it's also, on the other side, a greater risk to go, no, don't bring on new things. Put more logs on the fires you've already got going. And don't let those just be, oh, that was a fad. Oh, I'd worked on that for a couple of years. No, keep building the fires that are already built and see how high they can go, how wide those flames can go. And so it's measuring those. And plus I can have a tendency to over leverage myself and look up and go, damn it, I got 8 campfires on my desk again. Where's the I'd rather have 2 bonfires. I'm feeling pulled left and right. I kind of feel like I'm not able to give 100%. I'm half-assing this over here. I'm half-assing that over there. I'm feeling quite incomplete. Can I get 6 more hours in a day? Nope, they're not giving them. Okay, what do I need to do? I need to pull a few campfires off. And that's probably the greater risk for me now, is to probably pull some campfires off, to use that wood to put in the bonfires that I've got going.
That is a huge problem for me personally. I know what drives my overcommitment. It's usually fear, like a fear of missing out, fear of not making enough money. What drives it for you?
Finding out. I love to find out. Most times in my life when I thought, oh, I don't have time for that. Yeah, you do. Go do it. And I found more time and I found more energy to go think I can handle it and believe I can handle it and actually handle it. But can I do that while keeping my health intact, while keeping my husbandry intact, by keeping my fatherhood intact, by keeping my faith intact, by keeping, those relationships intact? Sometimes one of those goes into the debit section if I'm going to take on too much. And I've found that as much as you may say, hey, no, just need your name on the board, just need your name on the invitation. I don't know how to just be the name. If I'm going to do it, I'll look up and if you ask me to read a script, you say, Dan, you say, Matthew, I got the script. I want you to read it for me. Give me some notes. I'm going to say, Dan, are you sure this is the one? Because I know it's 120 pages. Think it's going to be an hour and a half read. No, it's not. It's going to be an hour and a half read, but it's going to take me 8.5 hours because I'm going to be taking notes along the way, and then I'm going to assemble them. Then I'm going to get back. That's going to be my whole day. So are you sure this is the one you want me to read? Now, so I don't know how to I'm not good at, and I guess I'm glad I'm not good at just dipping a toe or going, yeah, I'll be affiliated with that. Yeah, you can put my name on it, because I'll end up getting into it. And once I'm into it, I well exceed all of my contractual obligations and all of my relations.
The other thing you mentioned a couple minutes ago that intrigued me was knowing when to trust people. You're a very well-known person, public figure. You said, and I really like the way you put this, some people are really good at hiding their transactional agenda. How do you know when to trust people?
I go in with a pretty high measure of openness of trust on howdy. I go in with a great reverence for most everybody I meet. Nobody, including myself, ever really lives up to the reverence that I give them. And I know some exceptionally exceptional people. But in the same way, no movie, no character I've ever done has lived up to the divinity that I dreamed it to be. And I've done some excellent stuff and been a part of some excellent movies. And I'm not over here boo-hooing them. I'm saying they were pieces of art, or people end up being more mortal than maybe I on howdy was believing they could be. So I go in with a lot of trust. I am not foolish with that. I don't share numbers and open up my account and books. That's usually what the snakes are after. I've been burned many times on the first chance. I was like, oh, okay, I didn't get the reciprocity that I see with that. That was a singular transaction. Okay. Measured, not repeating that. So I don't give it all on the first chance where I can squander what I have. I'm not foolish with, but I've got many times where I've given my time and gone, oh, that was way oversold to me. That actually benefited them, but didn't benefit me at all. Let's mark that. I've got people around me that help. If I'm going to engage with something, I'm like, yeah, this guy's great, or she's great, or let's go into this project. I've then, before I say yes, allowed my team around me to go, let us do some work here and study and see if everything's what's being said. If everything you're being sold is actually what the facts are. Then we assemble, and I tell that person, I'll get back to you. I've got to do some diligence, but sounds great. And then I assemble, I get my facts together, measure it against time, what I've got to do, and sometimes I'll come back and go, I just did this yesterday. Not going to do a deal, but I tell you what, you wanted 10, I'm going to give you 2 for free. I don't want to be part of the deal. I like what you're doing. You got 2 for free. Do what you want with them. Market. You can use my name and my voice for that. Go market it. See if you can get more. We're great. That's all I can do right now.
Again, the book's called Poems and Prayers. And one of the things that Eleanor and I, again, Eleanor, the producer of this episode, that we honed in on is your morning routine. There's a bunch of parts to this, but one of the I'm going to read one little passage and hopefully get you to unpack it a little bit. And then then there are other aspects of your morning routine I want to talk about. But here's the first one. It's called Living Life to a Tune. Some mornings I wake up with a certain musical meter in my mind. If I like the sound of it, I'll do my best to move to the pace of that rhythm throughout the day, to exchange the cadence with everything I see and do. If I keep that meter in the way I think, see, and move, the world around me often responds in kind to my calling, making every interaction I have a rhyming verse in the song that is my day.
Yep.
Can you say a little bit more about that?
A lot of my writing comes from a musical meter. There's quite a few poems in the book that I woke up with a bum 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 ba dun 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 dun, and I woke up and I had it, and the line was in my head, and it fit that meter, and I slowly walked to my laptop and I started writing to that meter, and all of a sudden, 6 hours later, I have 40 pages. And now I go back and go look and go, let's see if any of that's worth a shit. And, do some editing, look at it, go, hey, some of that is, some of that's not. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. The same way of starting my day. Do you drink coffee in the morning?
I have panic disorder, so I can't have caffeine.
Okay, so no caffeine. So if you did, you would be sped up ahead of time, right?
Yes.
Okay. And in your discussion with me or the world, you'd be ahead. Maybe you wouldn't listen as well. Maybe you'd be over anticipating what the next answer, and you wouldn't be able to be present. All of a sudden, this thing, we would kind of be off musically, right? Well, same with me. If I don't have anything, I'm going to be maybe a little bit slow and, I don't know, not using the right amount of words, and then feeling anticipation because I'm going like, geez, sharpen up. If I could I wake up with a certain meter in my head of an exchange sort of dance that I'm going to have through the day with how my day's going to start. That starts with, though, the night before having a look at kind of what my days laid out. I've got 6 destinations that I've agreed to be at. I've got this breakfast with my wife. I've got this 10 a.m. meeting. I got this 1. I got this 2. I got this 3. I got this 4. And then I'm going to my son's football game at 7. Let's lay that out. All right, what do I need to be prepared for what? Well, to start off the day, the first one's going to be easy. Let's ease into the day. Hell, maybe I'll meet my wife over a cup of tea and we'll do a few pieces of a puzzle just to catch up on the day. But then I'm going to start getting cranked up for the 9 and the 10 because I got to be on there an hour. I got to compartmentalize. I got to be sharp. And then by the end of the day, when can I take the big exhale? Right before I'm going to leave the last meeting to go to my son's football game. It's another meeting, but it's not, I don't have to be on. That's already, now I've got 3 acts of a song of where my energy is going to go through the day. And that starts with looking at my plan from the day before. I'm also going to run into a few things that I didn't expect. I'm going to hit the traffic jam, so I'm going to be late for the 2 o'clock, which is going to make me late for the 3 o'clock, which is going to then, can't make me late for the son's football game because that's non-negotiable. I have to leave the 4 o'clock early to get to that one. So I'm pinching, but I like to leave on time so I can take my time. I don't like to be in a hurry. I don't like to be in a rush. I like to have it sorted so I can saunter in, be on time, be present, and saunter right out. I don't want to get there early and hang out too long in your green room. I don't want to get there late and us try to hurry up and rush and get what questions in we can in 40 minutes when we really needed an hour. That's a meter. That's a meter of how I'm planning my day. That's a meter of how I'm going to move. That's a meter of how I'm going to talk to some people in passing because I'm on my way to where I need to go. No, I can't stop every single time because I've got this thing, I've got this plan, I've got a dance I'm doing and where I'm going. That's also, hey, happened to get there early, ran into Eleanor outside, got in a conversation with her for 10 minutes before you and I started to talk because I was there early. It's all in the same rhythm, but it's from the rhythm of the plan I looked at the night before. And if I can keep that cadence, there's a rhythm to the day. There's a rhythm to the work. It starts to rhyme. Or in the words of T-Bone Burnett, like a song. If you just keep at it, you'll eventually write a song. And so, it's also realizing that the bumps, that the traffic jams, that the F-ups and the things that didn't go as planned, that's part of the same song. Mm. Don't lose your rhythm there. That's part of the same song. Don't let that throw you out of rhythm like that's a new song. It's part of the same song.
Look, we talk about it a lot on this show. There is a connection, a real connection between your finances, your money, and your personal well-being, your mental health. There's now a very interesting new option if you want to feel organized and confident in your finances. It's called Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean interface on your laptop or on your phone. And right now, just for our listeners, Monarch is offering 50% off your first year. I downloaded the app and started playing with it. It's quite impressive and really powerful to have all of my information right there in one place on a clean, attractive, very clear interface so I can see everything and then manage it all. I'm just one of those people. I need to have all the information in front of me. Otherwise, it takes on a vague, miasmatic sense of dread and fear. But when I have it all in front of me, then it's all workable. And that's what Monarch does for you. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. They do all the heavy lifting. They link all of your accounts in minutes and get clear data, smart categorization of your spending, and real control over your money. You will never need to touch a spreadsheet again. Monarch is not just a finance app. It's a tool that real professionals and experts actually love. It was named the best budgeting app of 2025 by the Wall Street Journal. Check it out. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code HAPPIER at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code HAPPIER.
I really honed in your book this balance that you've just been talking about between wanting to have a kind of smooth, laid back saunter through your day, but also to get all the shit done. And it sounds like to me what part of that for you is, as you referenced, preparation.
Preparation, we all feel when we feel stress, right? What is it usually? The things we have to do in front of us, the amount of unresponded, unreturned emails, that number gets bigger. We're running out of time. They start to mount vertically on our shoulders. It's a vertical mount. Shit. How am I going to get all that done? When in reality, usually we go do it. And you're like, oh, geez, it wasn't as much weight on my shoulders as I thought. But what happens when we're prepared? All those things aren't as on our shoulders. They're actually laid out in front of us, laterally. And when they're laid out laterally, and you're like, I'm not looking at these as all these appointments I got to make. I see it. And they're lily pads that I'm going to saunter and dance to each one. And I'm calling each one a swing by. Just sometimes even that idea of looking at my busy day and go, these are swing bys, not appointments. All of a sudden I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm better in the appointments because I've been like, no, you're swinging by, man. And that's because I see them laterally in front of us. And it gets off that vertical stack that we put on ourselves that puts the pressure because you can't see them. They're stacked on top of you. And after the few on your shoulders, the ones up top, you can't see the damn things. And you're intimidated by them. And the weight gets heavy. But when they're laid down in front of us and you go, oh, I see, I got there. Then I'm going to go there. Then I'm going to swing by over there. Oh, yeah, then I'm going to swing back over here and pop over. Yeah, it's a great way of looking at it that takes the pressure off and proverbially it takes the weight off because you can see it and it's not on your shoulders. So it's a lateral way of looking at all the plans that we have or all the appointments or responsibilities that we have.
I like that. Another key part for you seems to be like you don't leap out of bed in the morning. Like you take a beat and check in.
We're trying to go through the house. There's a big cardboard, very artfully drawn message in the kitchen: no devices or mobile devices for the first hour you are awake. And at the bottom it says, that includes you, Popeye. That's me. Oh, geez. I get it. And my day does start better if I give myself enough time to not check in with what's happening in the rest of the world and to just stay in my cocoon of, hey, how am I feeling? Oh, good. I hear the kids down there laughing. Good. I'm going to catch them before they hop out to school. Let me go down and hang out with them. Like I said, make a cup of tea, check in with my wife, talk about the day. If I've got the time, a real luxury to do a few pieces of a puzzle. Simple, It's like I think what Wordle does for people, just to get the brain active in a slow way before I'm going to engage and get in too much of a rush or have to move quickly, as sometimes I have to do. That's how I like to start my day. Sometimes I wake up with an idea and I'm going to go put it down in my notes. And my notes are in my phone. Pretty damn hard to put a note in your phone when you see, and you also cross all those extra numbers in your email box. And how do you keep from checking those, but actually going into the phone to use your notes? And that takes a bit of discipline, and I don't always pull it off. But I do like when I start my day that way much better than when I've come down stairs to greet the family and start my day when I'm already thinking about, if I've checked my message, I'm already thinking about everything I've got to take care of that day. And now I'm not as relaxed with them. I'm not as present with them. I'm a little bit in a rush. What I've got to do later on is more important than what I'm doing right now. So let me just a second. No, I'm listening. No, I know. Yeah, just a second. Yeah, I know. I hear. I'm listening. Yeah, bullshit. No, you're not. Put it down. So I try to buy that time in the morning for myself. And for the most part, pull it off. And I'm happy when I do.
I've done something similar and I found it to be really helpful. And it also sounds to me like you have some flexibility, some grace to fuck it up.
Yeah. Look, there's some times where it's all hands on deck. I need it. It's timely. It's now. And they don't have to put an exclamation mark in capital, all caps, all red to let me know that. I know, no, this is something I got to go. And I'll there and go, gang, this is something I got to handle. Let me get a quick kiss. Hello. Love you too. Have a great disco. I got to go handle this. I'll see you this afternoon. I know, don't give me shit about it. We'll laugh about it later. I'm going to do this. I'll trust me. I got to handle it. Bam. Got to get into it. Yeah, there's some grace in there. And I got to allow that grace with my wife, and she allows it with me, and the kids allow it with me. And what's my excuse? When they go like, well, I didn't do it. I was like, yeah, but the message you got to return ain't paying the rent. Mine is. But whatever that is, that can be my excuse. You know what I mean?
I've tried that, and I've gotten some harsh looks in response.
I haven't gotten a good response to that one either.
Just on this note of fuck ups, there's another Matthew McConaughey quote here I like. If we're not missing, coming up short, or sinning enough, maybe we aren't trying hard enough.
You know, to sin, it comes from, it's an archery term, to miss the mark. And I'm a prescriptionist. I love going back to the original meaning of words. And that just opens that up for a lot of people who may not believe in sin or may not believe in God or what have you. So which the word sin is usually connected to. Yeah. You know, I'm curious, you know, as a believer, you know, when and if I get to, if there's that so-called pearly gates and judgment day or whatever, what's better, to have shown up taking 8 great risks and pulling off 7, or have taken 100 great risks and pulling off 8? My hunch is that if there's a God, he's going, I'll take the 8 out of 100. Way to go. That's my hunch. No, I don't mean being reckless with those things and just being a repeat offender of bad things, but believe that to take the effort to try and try again, to take the risk is, in my belief, God saying, why don't you come back here with even money, bud? Why don't you go out there? And there's a great story in the Bible about that, about the 2 sons. The father gives them money, and one buries it in the backyard, and the other one goes away to the city and spends it on gambling and whores and everything else, and comes back broke and crying. And the one who buried it is like, see, I'm the good one, I'm the good one. And he throws the party for the one that came back. He goes, yeah, you just buried yours in the backyard. At least this one went out and tried.
That leads to me to another thing I wanted to talk to you about from your book, which is courage, which seems to be a real theme. I'm going to read you another passage and let you talk about it on the backside. There's a passage called Man Up. So much of life seems to come back to courage, doesn't it? Being willing to go one more step before you quit, one step deeper into your relationships, one step further in being faithful to yourself, to your God. What if everybody took one more step to salvage their marriage, to secure their own character, to not sell themselves short? One more step by enough of us can change the world.
Ooh, yeah, I believe that. And I know a lot of my friends tell me, boy, you're trying to change behavior. That's a big square rock up a hill. Well, I don't care. I think that's where it is. I think that is the way forward. You know, are there times, and how we learned in times, and I suppose this is a very Buddhist quality, to let go, the wind blow where it is, and hey, that's how it is. Yes, there are definitely times for that kind of grace, forgiveness, and letting go, pivoting, moving on, changing direction. But I also believe that larger problem we could solve is quitting too early. Not only with when things get hard, even when things are going really well. Icarus in reverse is what I think we need more of. I think a lot of us turn back because we think we're flying too close to the sun. It's going to melt our wax on our wings. And it's 50 degrees Fahrenheit, man. You still got a beanie on. It's not even close to melting the wings. Keep going. Who do you think, you arrogant son of a bitch? You thought it was getting hot? There's a lot more room to go. So on both ends of the spectrum, when things get hard, I've done it. I know a lot of people that do it. I got friends that do it. Responsibility adds up. Path of least resistance, sneaking out the back door. That's not go. That's stuff that you didn't finish. It didn't go. It didn't disappear. It's getting double wide for tomorrow, and it builds up, and people end up going, I'm out. And I see it in relationships. I see it in marriages, and I believe there are some divorces that are absolutely necessary that were good for both people, 100%. I'm not saying every one of them, but I do see some divorces from the male and the female going, it's got kind of hard. So we checked out. Whoa. Now what? No, wait a minute. Or, yeah, it's just how the world goes. So I just go along with it. Whoa, that completely goes against your character. Stand up for that. Don't quit. Partially what I'm trying to do with this is, I'm belief. I don't want to quit believing, in my God, in myself and others. And I felt myself getting a bit cynical. And I swore to myself a long time ago that cynicism is a disease that we choose in life, and it's a way of dying early while we're still walking on two legs. And I'm not going there. And I see other people asking that same question and in that same battle.
In moments when you're feeling cynical, is there a go-to move that helps?
Humor. Because the doubt that comes with cynicism and the disbelief that comes with it, I'll let myself sometimes have okay, put a period on into that. Clever, smart, right on. Fact, maybe. But it doesn't end there. Now, hang on. We're not going to say that's just how the world is. We're not going to apply that to everybody. You're going to apply that to everybody. That kind of disbelief starts to come back at you in the mirror. Now, hang on. So humor to go, clever, McConaughey, good one. You got my laugh at the cocktail party, but I don't respect you as much as I did before. Okay. It could be, it comes in the form of snark. It's an easy way out. That's the thing. It's such a cop out, and it's too easy, and it's clever and snark, and it can, like I said, can get the chuckle at the cocktail party. But I it's definitely not a way forward as far as I can see.
What's your take on the state of America and the world right now?
Wow. Well, that's a big question. I was talking to a friend the other day, and he used a really cool word, which I think is a good one for this answer. We're in a great time of disorientation. Where do we fit in? How do we fit in? AI. Oh, I took my job? Oh, yeah, go to college, learn this. Guarantee you that's the best way to the future. Oh, shit, they're not hiring for that anymore? That's not needed? Oh, where are we oriented in this? Where are we humans oriented in this? Where are we oriented with this? And and the AI atheists are like, well, no, this is evolution. This is the next link. We're going to be extinct. That's great. I'm not ready to go there, and I hope that's not where we're going. The way we label people. I've got a poem in there about condemn the act, don't condemn the person. Condemn what they did, but don't label them the liar, cheater, stealer if they happen to just get caught one time lying, cheating, or stealing. Give them the chance to go, no, that's not who I am. That was an aberration. I hit it out of bounds. My bad. Let me come back. But we label someone completely if we disagree with their politics or we disagree with their point of view. We label them as a bad person. And we've gotten into a place, even politically, where we're not talking about good and bad. We're like talking about good and evil. I don't know that that's always our place to be labeling people good or evil. Sometimes I'm like, I have it in that poem, Blessed Are the Peacemakers. Sometimes there's time to say, let's Let's let God deal with that. Let's, there are good and bad. We should have judgment. We should have discernment to say, I choose this over that, but not condemn an act, but don't condemn the person or label a person as evil if they don't subscribe to your own personal politics, so to speak. And again, I think it's an easy way to go. I think politically, our far extreme rights and left are much closer than they realize. I think there's a massive majority in the middle that just needs to take the mic back because they've let the pirates of the extremes on the right and left come over the edges and kind of take over the ship. But that place is not going to reveal itself, all right, if it is sold or understood to be a passive meet in the middle thing. It will only, that place, the masses are going to have to understand and behave, I think, like it's a punk rock rebellion. And in a way, a lot of moderation is becoming punk rock. Belief is punk rock, I believe, right now. I don't think it's not old school, gray-haired white man at the pulpit saying, this is what you should do. No, I think it's absolutely, when I say in the beginning, let's sell Sunday morning like a Saturday night. It's a rebellious thing right now. I see so much distrust. I see so many transactional relationships. So many so that people aren't even that good at hiding them that much anymore. I'm like, dude, you could have tried a little harder to get away with that. It was very apparent you're trying to pick my pocket. I mean, you're gonna have to be better than that. I almost want to help them out. Going, no, you know what I mean? That was bad. That was bad acting, even. But it just seems to be part of. Oh well, you caught me. Cool. That's just what we do. No, in the name of progress, which is not a bad word. It's a great word. And the right's got to shake hands with that. Progress is what we all want. Just what's the definition of that? Now, we all have to understand, the youth in us has to understand that does not mean casting out everything that was in the past and saying yes to everything in the future. That's not progress. There are certain things, truths and traditions that have worked over time, and no matter what happens in the world, need to still be maintained. And there's certain values that need to be maintained. Carrying on those and being open to changes, but not accepting every single change, is a battle I go through every day. I think most people do. But carrying on, taking those from the past that work, that are non-negotiable, into the future, that are adaptable to changing times, that's where true progress lives.
When you say belief is punk rock, which I think is awesome formulation, what do you mean specifically by belief?
Okay. Difference between hope and belief. Hope, it's a bit of if it happens, I somehow kind of got lucky because I just hoped for it. It's like relying on fate. Well, if I just think about it, I'll manifest it. If I just say it out loud, it means it can happen. Dream it, you can do it. Bullshit. What a horrible thing to tell somebody or for someone to believe. That's the first part, to have at least something that you want to achieve or get to or see. But you got to deal your way to that. Belief comes with the engine to deal your way there. So I call belief the original dream. You can see it. There's a way to get it. It's why we got to work on the American dream. The path there, people are very confused on what is that? Well, I thought if I did this, was responsible, got a job, did my work, and did my work well, that would be a path to that. Well, people are saying that, no, maybe not rewarded for that. Is that changing? How much is the American dream an illusion? We got to make sure we're defining that, and that there's rules and sort of regulations for how you can pull it off if you do it that way. Belief, though, you see the path. The path is there. Now you got to put in the sweat equity to go get it and make it happen. Yeah, you probably got to get fortunate along the way because there's no guarantee. The only guarantee with the American dream or belief is that you have the opportunity to fail at it. But you can be in the game and you see how to do it. You see how you can pull it off. You're going to run into adversary. You're going to run into major obstacles that you didn't expect. Boy, it all played well. You won while you were on PlayStation, didn't you? Now you got in real life? Oh, it's a little bit harder. But belief, you can still see the path there. And if you don't get it, you can still believe in that path and go, I'm going to get up. I'm going to dust off. I'm going to try it again. Or I'm going to back up. I'm going to learn a little something. I got a new tact here. But you can see the path to it. I don't think people see that path right now. I don't think people are looking around And kids are looking around and going, this is who I look up to because these are people that I look up to because. I think they're confused where it is when we see liars, cheaters, and stealers win the jackpot, where you get success rewarded minus the profit, where quantity is the only measure. Forget the quality, bro. Quantity is the measure. That's success, but that's not profit. So success have to meet profit. What? That starts with going, do I want to make more money? You damn right. Well, how do I want to make it? How I make it has something to do with it. And I don't think we should just be giving the gold medal to anybody just because they crossed the finish line first and they got, picked up in a car at mile 2 and driven the next 20 miles and got out and ran the last 4. We should okay, you crossed the finish line first. You're not getting the medal, bro. You cheated, And we do that and we reward that quite a bit. We even say, or starting to say, or we have been saying, but we even are saying, so what are the ethics of life? What are our expectations of each other ethically and morally? Well, I don't know. What'd the winner do? The winner cheated and pillaged on the way here and lied, cheat, stole. You saying that's it? They won. There's your ethics. That's dangerous. I'm not ready to say that's how it is. And I don't think most of us are ready to say, well, that's how it is. So belief though, is very different than hope. And belief, and I say this punk rock, boy, to find something to believe in right now and grab a hold of it and go, that's a North Star for me. Religious or not, yourself, each other, something to believe in, what you would die for, believing in that, living for that. I think it's in short supply. And I think if people grab hold, that is punk rock. That's Saturday night at the rave. That place is going off. Also, that lane on the highway, there's not a lot of traffic on it. And it's a beautiful Autobahn. There's room to get after it. And it's right there waiting for us.
Let me say this back to you just to make sure I've got it. Here's how I would put it back to you, but you'll correct me where I go wrong here. Just when I think specifically about America, and you and I are of a similar age, I think both quite patriotic. I'm just making an assumption. And this is a tough time in the country. I'm interviewing you the day after Charlie Kirk was assassinated.
Yeah.
You're interesting to me for a lot of reasons, but one of them is that as far as I can tell, you seem to have equal appeal in red America and blue America. And when I ask you, like, how do things look and what can we do to make things better? It seems to me your answer is like, hey, why not turn the volume down on the cynicism and turn the volume up on the risky, sometimes embarrassing move of earnestly, wholeheartedly believing in something and committing to it?
I would subscribe to that. Now, I'd also say this, Dan. I hear this the other day. You may know more about this than I do. Is there some term that the young generation, there's a term about the distaste for any earnest or saying, oh, you meant to do it. If you really mean to do it, then it's not. There's a term going on that is out of fashion to be earnest and like really mean it and try hard. That's like,
that's the term. It's a try hard.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to go online here and saying I'm not being a dinosaur for saying I think that's bullshit. Now, but it does illuminate something. They're not seeing what's clear to believe in. If you disdain for someone trying hard for something, it looks like, well, you don't believe in what they're trying for. So therefore, you don't believe if you don't have anything that you're trying for, that you're seeking meaning for, to expand the value of in your own life, you're not seeing things in your life to believe in and mean it for it and try for that. So it does illuminate maybe somewhat indirectly what I'm talking about, and a lack of belief or knowing what to believe in. And maybe where that sounds like that's where that comes from. Well, I don't think that's a recipe, and it's a sad one, but I don't think that's a solution. If it's fair to say that I think everyone would like to look for some solutions in their own lives and collectively, I don't believe that trying for something and putting an effort and seeking meaning and believing in something and being earnest. Yeah, I don't believe that not having any of that is a solution for what is it then? Nihilism? Is that what they're saying? Is that what they're saying? That nothing matters? I'm not going to argue with them. I'd rather spend time on going, why do they feel that way? Huh. What are they not getting? What are we not giving them as adults, as leaders? What are they not seeing? Or what do we have that they don't feel like they maybe can get? Or what do we have that they don't want? I don't know. That's fertile territory right there. Yeah, I asked kids what it was like being a teenager last night. They brought up the Charlie Kirk thing. Police officer was shot in Silicon Park this morning on the way to school. Charlie Kirk got shot in the throat. Utah State. They were like, it's all over school. We're not supposed to have phones, but yeah, we all have phones. We go show each other. And I didn't want to see it, the Charlie Kirk shooting, but everyone had it. And I couldn't take my eyes away, and I saw it. It made me sick to my stomach all day. Felt like I was walking on glass all day. Everyone's kind of punchy. Everyone's not sure where they're going. The whole school, people were just kind of bumping into each other. Everyone just had an edge. But like, it's confusing, not just from today, but it's confusing being a teenager. Nobody knows who they really are. We're all trying to figure out who the hell we are, and no one really knows how to get there or where we're going. That's running parallel to that feeling we're just talking about of the disdain for the tryhards and not having or understanding what's worth believing in. Now, obviously part of that's growing up, right? We try to teach our kids delayed gratification. Shoot, a lot of us adults need to learn about it too. The idea that, no, it takes work and continuous work. It's not immediate gratification for things you believe in. There's certain sacrifices we make today to get more tomorrow. There's things that we believe in that we take care of that are non-negotiable in the masses. Well, you're younger. Kids don't have as many of those things. It's easier to say as a father and a husband and a person with a career. But I think it starts with us as parents to show and be examples of those things for our kids, of these things are worth believing in. These things are worth standing up for. This is even more dangerous, sometimes worth standing against and being unpopular, taking one on the chin, proverbially. Parents, leaders, brothers, sisters, big sisters, mentors, teachers. We can do a better job of showing each other, and especially our youth, what things that are worth believing in.
Kind of leads me to the last thing I wanted to ask you about, and this is personal, so you can take a pass on it if you don't want, but there's a story I read about you, your family of origin, in a profile of you in the Times, a kind of searing early memory of you watching your parents fight and your mother breaking your father's nose with a telephone. Yeah. And then they made up and had sex on the kitchen floor. I read that definitely meets the qualification of an adverse childhood event. And I wonder how you carry that into your own parenting, or tried not to carry that into your own parenting.
Let me prequel this with, that's one of the opening stories of my book of Green Lights. Do I practice the same sort of tough love that they had for each other? Thankfully, no. It's not really for Camilla and I, and we still love each other. I was that an adverse circumstance for a child? Sure. And I'm not defending this. I'm just telling you the straight truth. Not once. Was it scary watching it? Did I understand very soon when it was completed that was how my mom and dad loved each other? That while it was bloody, while there was a knife pulled, while there was a phone across the nose, that was the way they loved each other that night in that moment. Those didn't happen. That was a wild ass story that I put in there that was true, that I witnessed, that didn't. When people hear that, I had a lot of people come to me after the book and, I'm so sorry about your child. I was like, you're trespassing there. Don't apologize. I didn't have a bad childhood. I had a wonderful childhood. That story wasn't like that happened weekly, monthly, yearly, or ever again. I mean, the amount of love that we had in our family, the hands in the family were the hands that healed 99% of the time. That was one where it was much more awkward and corporal and physical. The love was never in question in our family. I just want to make that extremely clear. And that's not me defending my family. That's even in my 5-year-old mind. It was never in question. It was dramatic. It was a frickin' circus sometimes, but the love was never in question. My way of parenting, if I have to raise my voice, I'm automatically backlogging, trying to figure out what did I not handle to get to this point. And I think usually that's probably not fair of me to put on myself, because It's not just me. I couldn't have been there for everything they were going through, and what they didn't say, I didn't say. I can't read their minds. I mean, sometimes it just gets to that point. But I'm already backlogging going, why did we get to this point? We talk out a lot more things like I think a lot of more parents do today. You know, the old adage of I was raised on, if you got into the argument of why, the answer that stopped the conversation was because I said so. Mm-hmm. And that ended the conversation. That one doesn't really fly as well anymore. that one doesn't fly anymore. Like, okay, well, why? And I feel obligated and committed to go, okay, well, here's why. And we will explain. And so we have much more discussions. You do have to watch when the kids know that you'll discuss it. They start working you. But they're already wise to why. They just want to keep on, see if they can kind of noodle it. You got to go stop it. You know exactly why. Quit playing dumb now. You know what I mean? My parents had a really interesting read, and I think it was a great one. Now, whether you agree with how it was done or not is still open for discussion, and most people today would not be in agreement with it. Their point was the reason we got in trouble. Mind you, this every time we got in trouble, we were guilty, and we. Yep, I tried to get away with that. I didn't. Yep, that was me. There was never a time where we got in trouble. It was like, but I didn't. No, we knew it and we did it and we admitted it and we got in trouble. And the trouble was corporal. It was quick. Go in, take your licks. It was always over. Now that was like, why my friends get grounded? They were like, oh, we're not grounding you. That's taking away your most precious thing you have in your life, time. I remember sneaking out of school, go to Sonic with my buddy one day. We went off campus. We got back. I called the principal's office. We were busted because one of the teachers had already also gone to Sonic and saw us, pulled in. Coach Schenkel's like, all right, you want Saturday detention hall or you want 4 licks? My buddy goes, detention hall. And he went out. And I went, yeah, I think I want detention hall too. And I lifted and he goes, okay. And I stepped one foot out of his principal door, and I stopped and I was like, oh my gosh, my family is going to haze me tonight. My brothers, my mother, my dad are going to go, you let them take a Saturday from you? You wouldn't take. And I turned around, I said, Coach, can I get the 4 licks? He goes, yep. Bop, 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 bop. I walked out. I was laughing at my buddy going, they got your Saturday. I just went through 20 seconds of discomfort. Got you. It was to get it over with. And there was never injuries, None of us kids, no one was ever injured. It was quick. And the other thing was there were no grudges held. It was over. You couldn't go to sleep in our house holding a grudge. It was handled that night. And another thing my dad did is after we would have something, one of my brothers would get in trouble, he'd load us up in the car. And we going out to eat, we just kind of didn't have the money. We had the money for it, but it had to be a special occasion. And we always ate healthy. But on these nights that anyone ever got in trouble, as soon as it was over, he'd load us up in the truck. And there was all kinds of burger places in Longview, but we'd take about a 35-minute drive to the other side of town to this one spot, Burger and Fries. Get burgers, shakes, fries, keep them in the bag, take the 35-minute drive back home. You could stay up late, have extra ketchup, and sit around and eat burgers and have dinner with everybody. That was a gift almost of okay, it's over. And it was never brought up again. I'm not going to judge them to say they did it wrong. I do it different, but that's how we were raised. That was the post-World War II parents they were and what they understood. I'm not going to dare hop up to say, so we'll see later on. Let's stand the test of time. Let's go a few more 100 years and see. Curious which was better way, for consequences. I don't know. I don't believe in injury at all, but those things were quick. They sucked it for a moment for 30 seconds and it was over. It was forgotten about. And I will say this. There are many things I did not do as a kid that I should not have done for fear of that ass whooping. That I didn't get because I didn't do the thing that I wanted to do. I was like, nah, it's not worth it. I don't want to get in trouble.
It's been so fun to talk to you. I'm just going to sneak in 2 last questions here. One is there something you were hoping to get to that we didn't get to?
Nothing sticks out to me, Dan.
Final question then. Can you just remind everybody of the name of the book and any other books that you've written that we should know about?
Yeah, well, I wrote Green Lights a few years ago, and I was real happy how that translated. And then I've written my latest one's Poems and Prayers. It's basically selling belief. And that's not just a belief in God, but that's a belief in ourselves, others, and tomorrow, whatever it is, our better selves. And I think belief's in short supply these days. And as far as I can tell and what I hear from others, we could use more of it. Because if the doubt wins, we all lose, right? And this is some of those poems and prayers of mine. Some of it's serious, some of it's not serious at all. Some of it's real fun to read, some of it may get you thinking. Either way, whether you sit down and read it all or just have it next to your bed or well, any other place you sit down and just open up a page or two over time. Hopefully it'll be an enjoyable ride.
Well, it was an enjoyable ride to talk to you, Matthew. Really appreciate your time.
All right. Thank you, Dan, as well.